He just has to ask himself, is this the best path? This is probably the last moment for him to do that check, and it's probably good if he does.
This is the equivalent of going to the doctor. Don't tell a guy who's got high blood pressure you're just going to upset him and make him worse. I mean, that's the medical malpractice equivalent of acting like nothing is happening when clearly something is happening.
A growing chorus of Democrats suggesting President Biden should seriously consider ending his re-election bid. This in response to devastating poll numbers and growing concern about his age. Karl Rove is here. And Karl, for everybody who missed it, let's just put him up on the board to remind everyone. In this New York Times poll, President Trump was leading Biden in 5 of the 6 swing states. Nevada, Georgia, Arizona, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin are all those swing states. Biden campaign is basically blowing it off. They say that the year is 2011. It's 1 year out from Election Day, and the New York Times has just put out polling showing President Obama trailing significantly in battleground states. Flash forward to present day. The New York Times just out polling about President Biden. The team has consistently proved Politico's wrong, and with your help, we'll do it again next year. Is the Biden campaign in trouble, or do they have a point that we're a year away?
They're in trouble, big trouble, and the fact that they can't admit it is going to put them in even deeper trouble. The poll has a whole galaxy of things that ought to concern the White House. Support among young through the floor. Support among Latinos dropping. Support among blacks. President Trump has 22% of the black vote in the 6 battleground states. And the 6 battleground states themselves, only of those 6 battleground states, the only one in which President Biden leads President Trump is in the state of Wisconsin, and he leads him by 2. If President Trump flipped 5 of those 6 battleground states where he's in the lead today, he would go from 236 votes in the Electoral College to 289, and with it take the White House. And that's not the end of the bad news. Here's some worse news. The margin over Biden, they not only tested President Trump, but they tested Nikki Haley. In the 6 battleground states, Donald Trump is ahead of Joe Biden by a combined 4%. And if you take all 6 states together, about 3,300 sample, big sample, but Trump is up by 4. Nikki Haley, who's not as well known as either Biden or Trump, is up by 8. And a generic Republican, just simply saying, what if it's Biden against a generic Republican? Biden is behind by 16 points. So, this is bad news for the White House. Better than 7 out of 10 in the survey in the battleground states say is too old, and better than 2/3 of them say he lacks the mental fitness, mental acuity, and sharpness to be effective as president. Yeah, and then you get into the issues, and he's in trouble on those as well.
I think if you're digging like the minority voters too, that's just, Hispanics and African Americans, and that poll, if it's right, Republicans have never been that high with black voters in America. I want to play this clip, happened a couple of days ago. This is Senator Fetterman and others talking about the future for the current president.
There are two additional Democrats running for president. One is a congressman from Minnesota. The other one is the governor of California. But only one had the guts to announce it.
There are people on the local and the state and the federal level that want to raise their hand, but they've been told to sit down. Joe Biden, please, if you love the Democrat Party, if you love the people the way that you say you do, you will fall back and allow another candidate to win.
All right, now, all evidence suggests that Joe Biden is going to be the Democratic nominee in 2024. But let's say they get their wish. How does this unfold? In 50 years, only one president has stepped down after a first term, LBJ, in the late 1960s. And even if Biden takes a knee, what happens to Kamala Harris? It's not like Gavin Newsom is just going to slide on in there with a lot of acrimony. I just see this, Karl, as having significant issues across the board for Democrats. How do you see it?
Well, you're darned if you do, and you're darned if you don't. What we're looking at now is the Democrats are going to nominate Joe Biden, who ran as a transitional figure and now says, trust me, I'm going to be 82 shortly after the election, and count on me being at my vibrant best all the way through till the age of 86 when I will end my second term. Nobody believes that. And secondly, You're right. If they try and replace him, one way is for him to do what LBJ did in March of 1968, and that is say after the New Hampshire primary, I'm not running, and people ran. Another way to do it is just to simply stay in until a lot of the delegates have been selected, and then step aside and let the delegates who are Biden-pledged delegates make the decision. And my suspicion is that if it does happen, that's the more likely way that it's going to happen, is that it's sometime in 2024, after a bunch of delegates have been elected, that's the best way to do it. But, he doesn't want to do it. He and his wife have convinced themselves that he is the only Democrat who can beat Donald Trump. In reality, he may be the only only major Democrat who can lose to Donald Trump. That's what these numbers say. These numbers say that the Democrats are in deep trouble if Joe Biden is on it. Remember, a generic Republican gets 52% of the vote, and Biden gets 36. Nikki Haley is up by 8, and Donald Trump in the battleground states is up by 4. The election is going to come down to those 6 states, and Biden is in no good shape in any of them.
Fun to watch.
Yeah.
All right, Karl Rove, thank you.
Nice to see you, Carl.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.